Nobody tells you this, but the most dangerous years of your financial life aren't when you're broke. They're when you finally start making money, your late 20s, your early 30s, the decade where you go from surviving to earning, where your salary actually has a comma in it, your friends are doing well, and for the first time in your life, money is moving through your hands. And that's exactly when most people fall into the traps that quietly destroy everything they were building. I'll show you exactly what those traps look like in a minute. But I need you to understand something first. Most people who fall into them don't realize it's happening. They look like wins. They feel like progress. That's what makes them so dangerous. There's one trap in particular, trap number 3 on this list, that I've watched take people who were genuinely on the path to wealth and quietly, invisibly, reset them back to zero. We'll get there. By the time this video ends, you're going to see your own financial life differently. Not in a motivational way, in a clear-eyed, uncomfortable, actually useful way. Let's go. The first trap is called lifestyle inflation. And I know you've heard that phrase before, but I promise you haven't felt it the way it actually works. Here's what it actually looks like. You're 27, you just got a raise. You've been driving the same 2015 Honda Civic for 6 years, eating lunch at your desk and splitting a 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate you don't really like anymore. And now you're finally making $80,000 a year, maybe $90,000. And your brain does this thing. It doesn't frame the raise as an opportunity to build wealth. It frames it as permission. Permission to finally live the life you've been postponing. So you move into a nicer apartment. You lease a car that costs you $580 a month. You start eating out 4, 5 nights a week because you deserve it. And look, you do. But here's what nobody told you. Those normal upgrades just quietly consumed your entire raise. Your expenses rose in lockstep with your income. Your net worth stayed flat. Your savings rate didn't move. Morgan Housel writes in The Psychology of Money that wealth is what you don't see. It's the car not bought, the vacation not taken. Every upgrade you make to your visible life is money you chose not to keep. There's nothing wrong with spending, but when every dollar of new income becomes a new recurring expense, you've locked yourself out of building anything. The fix isn't deprivation. It's a rule. Every time your income goes up, your savings rate goes up first. Before the apartment upgrade, before anything else. The second trap is one I call the comparison debt spiral. And it lives in your phone, your group chat, and honestly, in Sunday brunches with your closest friends. Your college friend just bought a house. Your coworker is posting photos from Tulum. Someone from high school you haven't spoken to in 8 years just uploaded their kitchen renovation. And something happens in your body. It's not exactly jealousy, it's more like pressure. Like you should be somewhere you're not. Research out of Harvard on relative income shows that people derive more happiness from earning more than their neighbors than they do from earning more in absolute terms. Let that land for a second. We are literally wired to compete with the people around us. And in a world of Instagram and LinkedIn, your comparison pool is infinite. This trap doesn't look like weakness. It looks like ambition. It feels like motivation. But what it actually produces is debt taken on to perform a life you can't afford yet. A car financed to match the parking lot at work. A vacation put on credit because your friends were all going. A wardrobe that signals a wealth level that isn't real yet. The 28-year-old version of this is invisible. By 35, it becomes a weight you don't know how to put down. Trap 3, the one I told you about at the start. This is the trap that resets people who were genuinely winning. It's called the emergency fund illusion. And here's what it actually is. People in their late 20s who are finally disciplined enough to save, but they save everything in one place. One account, all mixed together. The $5,000 they're saving for a vacation, the $8,000 they want to use as a house down payment someday, the $3,000 that's technically their emergency fund. All of it sitting in the same savings account, earning 0.4% interest at a legacy bank. And then something real happens. The transmission on the car goes. A medical bill shows up, they lose a job. Or honestly, nothing dramatic, they just have a bad month, or a good opportunity comes along and they need cash. And they spend the money. All of it feels the same because it was all in the same place. 3 months later, they're back at zero, wondering why they never seem to make progress even though they're saving. The trap isn't that they spent it, the trap is that they never made the money psychologically off limits. High yield savings accounts, and there are accounts paying over 4.5% right now, with separate buckets, named accounts, a system where the emergency fund is isolated and intentional. That's the difference between savings that hold and savings that evaporate. If this is you right now, drop a comment below. I promise you're not alone. The fourth trap is investing avoidance, dressed up as waiting for the right time. I know a guy, 31 years old, smart, makes good money as an engineer in Austin. He's been meaning to start investing since he was 27. Every year something comes up. The market looks unstable. He's not sure if he should go into index funds or do his own research. He opened a brokerage account twice and never funded it. He says he's waiting until he really understands what he's doing. Here's the brutal math. If he had put $500 a month into a basic S&P index fund at 27 and earned an average 8% annual return, by 50 he'd have approximately $425,000. If he waits until 35 to start, just 8 years later, that same $500 a month at 8% would give him roughly $230,000 by 50. He didn't lose $195,000 by making bad investments. He lost $195,000 by doing nothing. Waiting to understand the perfect strategy is a strategy. It's just the worst one. The compounding window in your 20s and early 30s is the most powerful financial asset you will ever have access to. You can't buy it back. You can't hustle your way to it later. Every month you delay, you're trading future freedom for present comfort. The fifth trap is the one nobody talks about because it sounds like success. It's called income dependence. And it's what happens when you build a life that requires every single paycheck to function. You've optimized for a high income instead of a resilient financial position. Your lifestyle, your rent, your car payment, your subscriptions, all of it is calibrated to the assumption that the money keeps coming. And then a layoff happens, a recession, a health event, a company that goes under. And suddenly the person who is earning $120,000 a year is in a worse position than their friend who makes $65,000 and has 14 months of expenses saved, investments compounding, and zero high-interest debt. The most dangerous number in personal finance isn't your debt. It's your monthly burn rate, the minimum your life costs every single month just to maintain. High earners in their 30s often have a burn rate that leaves them 2, maybe 3 months from real financial crisis. The goal isn't a high income. The goal is a high savings rate. Those are not the same thing. And confusing them is how you spend 10 years making great money and end up with nothing to show for it. Here's the thing about all 5 of these traps. They're not made of laziness. They're made of reasonableness. Upgrading your apartment when you earn more is reasonable. Spending a little more when your friends are all doing well is reasonable. Waiting until you understand investing before you invest is reasonable. Spending your paycheck on a life that matches your income is reasonable. That's the trap inside the trap. Every single one of these feels like rational adult behavior in the moment. And collectively, they quietly guarantee that you will work for money your entire life instead of money working for you. The people who escape them aren't smarter or more disciplined. They just saw the game clearly early enough to play it differently. You're in one of the most important decades of your financial life right now. Not because you have the most money, you don't. Not because the decisions are the biggest, they aren't yet. But because the habits you wire in between 25 and 35 become the infrastructure your entire financial future is built on. Every dollar you don't let inflate away. Every comparison you refuse to compete with. Every month you invest before you feel ready. Those aren't small choices. They're the compound interest of your behavior. And just like money, behavior compounds over time, whether you're paying attention or not. You already know more than most people sitting where you're sitting. The question isn't whether you understand this. It's what you do in the next 30 days. If this hit differently than you expected, subscribe. The next video goes even deeper into the psychology of wealth building in your 30s, and I think you'll want to be there for it.